here's your host, Alex Garrett.
Ladies and gentlemen, you could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you're here with us in New York City. Are you ready?
Welcome inside Adapting with Alex Garrett.
Oh, if the shoe fits, wear it.
Let's adapt together right now. What happens when you're a mom and you lose a loved one like your daughter who has special needs, who had a feeding tube, and she goes way too early? How do you recover from that? How do you bounce back? You may not. But for Raquel Johnson, she did something so special in the memory of her daughter, Cadence. Raquel, firstly, thank you for coming on today to Alex Garrett Podcasting.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this is the adaptability portion, and I feel like this is a huge story to cover because you did lose Cadence. Just tell us your story a little bit before I get into asking the tough questions here. So just tell us a little bit about the backstory.
My name is Raquel Johnson Poole, and when I was pregnant with Cadence, I was like 25 years old, and had a perfect pregnancy. You know, everything was good, but unfortunately, the last, about 8 months, started feeling like, cramps and stuff like that. Went to the emergency room, and, there she goes, placental abruption. It was a very horrific moment, horrific time ever in my life. And after that, she was born dead. They resuscitated her and gave her 3 hours to live, and she lived until she was 5 years old.
And every day she lived, would you say that was a victory for you guys? I mean, every day that she was able to live, she obviously touched your hearts.
Yes, it did. It was.
And so tell us about, because the whole process, the whole point of creating the store, KMJ Lovewear, is because she couldn't fit into clothing, from what I read. Is that correct?
I actually did that after she passed away. I decided to just come up with this, with this idea that I've always had, and that was the perfect time, to do that instead of sitting around and feeling sorry for myself, and overwhelmed with emotions constantly. I decided to just do that to honor her.
And now, how many years is this in that it has taken off, actually, this store?
The store front, actually, we just opened up in December of last year, and we have been online for about 3 years now.
Well, congrats in the middle of a pandemic for opening the store. That's a big deal to have a storefront. But for you, how did you manage to not wilt, not give up? How did you manage to do that? I think that's important to talk about because, when you're a parent of a disabled kid, you don't know what's going to happen next. So how have you been able to have this fortitude through her life and after?
It comes from support. Everyone in my life during that time when I really needed it the most, who I didn't expect to reach out, they reached out and, give me encouraging words on a daily basis. Some will come by, and motivate me and stuff like that. And prayer, just pray and meditate. That helped me a lot.
And when Cadence was here on this earth, how bright of a light was she? And I'm sure when you talk about her, even though she is passed on, you still have that smile that, yes, she made an impact on everybody around her.
Yes, she did. The nurses loved her where she was at Elizabeth C. Inn up in Yonkers. They loved her. Montefiore Hospital in the Bronx, Tampa, they loved her. Everywhere she went, the doctors and the nurses, they just loved her.
And did she have any siblings? I'm kind of curious how if she did, how they were with her.
No, there's no siblings.
And for you, see, I want to bring on too because there's special needs parents that worry about this. So what is your message to them too? That yes, you can continue on the legacy of your loved one should they go before you. How do you work and look to inspire those that are dealing with these situations on the daily, really?
By spreading the love. Cherish every moment that you have with them, and always prepare yourself for what is to come. You know, always cherish the moment. Love them. They're no different from any one of us. You know, and you have to love and believe in their strength. Sometimes the medical doctors, you know, they look at things differently. But as a parent, as a mother, you know the power that you have, you know, and with that being said, don't give up on your child. Keep pushing, you know, and they will turn around. Miracles do happen. Sometimes it does, you know, because it's not, you know, the universe, you know, saying, okay, no, this is not going to happen this time. But, you know, miracles do happen. It's your time. It's your time. If it's not, it's just not.
And so I want to, it's obviously making sure your child is clothed is a tough thing. So, were you frustrated with that? I mean, it seems like you were very frustrated that you were not able to find the right clothes.
Yeah, she was naked a lot. She was naked majority of the time, and even though she had tons of clothes because I made sure she was dressed in the best, you know. But because of the feeding tube, the G tube, it always messes her clothes up, and it's always leaking, you know, and stuff like that. So after she passed, I said, you know what, this will be a great idea, you know. Because when she was alive, like, I wouldn't have at the time to even do what I'm doing now because I dedicated all my time to her.
And so how did you come up with this idea to create the store? And by the way, I want to ask, did you have the father there too? How was the family dynamic with everyone there around her?
No father, just myself. A couple family members, yes, you know, friends, no. I kept her very private. Because I believe that when they're so, you know, I would say they're like a sponge, you know, they're so sensitive. So it's like you have to be careful what energy you bring around these types of children, you know, these types of miracles, right? You know, because you have to protect them with your everything. So I was very extremely overprotective of her.
And did that mean that you guys didn't go out a lot? Was she outdoors? Did she have sort of some sort of socialization with everything going on?
Well, she was actually bedridden. She lived at a children's facility, Elizabeth Seton, up in Yonkers, New York. But I would visit her regularly, and she would do activities. She even started to go to school and everything. You know, she was doing good. She did a lot of activities and stuff like that, you know, even though she was bedridden, and her disability issues was really extreme because, you know, it damaged her brain. So, you know, the certain functionalities was totally off.
Were you amazed at her fortitude though? Like, did that surprise you in a way, or were you amazed how fortitude and maybe she was adapting in her own way? Would you say that too?
Yes, you know, maybe she was adapting in her own way. You know, she had a whole different type of personality.
Was she able to talk? I noticed she had a trach on. Was she able to talk?
No, she wasn't I wouldn't say she talked in her own way. Yes, she spoke in her own ways, you know, as in body languages, facial expressions and stuff like that.
And you could just tell how she was feeling based on that.
Yes.
How did she come to do that? Do you think did someone train her? Did she come by it naturally to be able to communicate that way?
No, she came by naturally.
Oh, that's sweet. And I'm sure she's looking down right now and saying, I'm proud of you, Mom, for continuing this legacy through this store. And so is it locally, or do you have people from around the world even coming to the store to help their special needs child?
I would say so far, people have been reaching out to me, from all over, just off of, on Channel 12 News in the Bronx on Sunday. But before that, because of the pandemic, things have been slow. And a lot of people still haven't noticed that we're here. But people are, taking their time and noticing that I'm actually here.
We do take clothing for granted, but did you have some research into this, not just personal experience, but did you then research into this to making the store there are a lot of kids who have issues with the way clothes fit on them. Did the research come into play at all?
Yes, it did. I did a total research before I even registered this company, and knew my competitors and, do all of that good stuff.
And what did you find? I'm curious what you found.
It's a lot of businesses out there as well that does adaptive wear now. Example, Target, Tommy Hilfiger, those major big stores. So those will be my competitors. But the difference between what they're doing and what I'm doing is that I'm doing it out of sentimental meaning. I'm doing this out of love.
Hence KMJ Love, yes.
Yes, because I love what I'm doing, and I love children. I love the special needs community. I'm excited. I used to work when I was pregnant with Cadence. I used to work at a company, a developmental company with, kids. And I love them, so it's something that really is home.
Well, you talk about the competition, but I was sort of wondering, did you have any stats? Is there a number of stats that say, yes, kids with special needs, even with a feeding tube, have issues being clothed? Is there a stat on this or not really?
Somewhat, because now that, a lot of families are reaching out and, teachers as well is saying this is something that is well needed, especially here in New York.
You just said a couple of minutes ago that you do this for love while other companies, and then you work for a company. So having had that experience in the adaptive wear community, did you ever think that your God would tap you to be part of that community in the way he has? It seemed like you didn't expect Cadence to be disabled at all when she was born. So did you ever expect you to be immersed in it even more now?
I would say I've accepted it more now after I had her. And, I realized that, hey, she's still human. They actually wanted me to give up on her, to pull the plug. And I told them, no, you're crazy. I'm a strong believer. I have a lot of faith, and I'm very firm in my beliefs. So that kind of helped me,
I love that God is playing a role here. So I would have to say then the next is that God's calling you to do the store, isn't he?
Yes, pretty much. Pretty much so. This is something that I love doing. I enjoy doing it. I work 24/7 around the clock, even when I'm home in bed. I actually do a lot of researching. I read up on a lot of different stuff. I am always looking for the next, best thing, different ideas, stuff like that I could bring into this company, which will be here sometime this year or next year.
You got to keep us updated. By the way, you're in Riverdale and at KMJ Lovewear. I love the title of that. Cadence Mara Johnson is who that store is in memory of, and I'm talking with her mom, Raquel Johnson. This, having experienced this, do you still feel like you would want to have another kid? And then, does it scare you from having another kid at all, or not really?
No, it doesn't. I would love to have another child, when I feel like, it's time for me to do so.
Well, that's powerful.
Yeah. But right now I'm just focusing on getting this message out there, to each and every family that they should love and believe in their strength. And that's what Cadence gave me. I'm sharing it.
It sounds like she did, and it sounds like you're carrying on her legacy. Yesterday was the year anniversary of Kobe's tragic death and everything else going on with COVID and everything. It hits home the importance of continuing a legacy of the loved ones before it, doesn't it?
Yes. May 25th coming, that's her Memorial Day, and we will be letting go some balloons in the air like I did for her birthday in January 12th. It's a good thing and it's a sad thing to be reflecting on their memories, because it does bring back a lot of pain knowing that they're really not here, and you can't really hug them in person. But as for me, I cremated her and I put her in a teddy bear. So whenever I'm feeling like that certain type of way, I just go and I hold her, when I talk to her.
Oh, that's heartwarming. This is very moving. Now, how can people get in touch with you? Because I want people to know more about this store. How can they get in touch with you?
They can get straight. They could get straight contact with me at 929-402-6087. That's a direct business line for me. And my email is kmjlovewear@gmail.com. And we are also on Instagram and Facebook, KMJ Lovewear. And you look for me. We're on Google. We're all on every platform and news platform right now as well.
I was just thinking about COVID and kmjlove.com. Is that correct? I think I saw that as a website. We are in the middle of a pandemic. So if Cadence was here today, how would you help her through the pandemic? How would you do that? Because I feel like everybody's so stressed out, especially the disability community, because no one can really go out with the high risk. So how would you help her adapt to this?
Wow. I would have actually be by her side like 24/7, because she will, she would have been so vulnerable, sensitive to the least of the things. She gets sick. So, I just have to do what I would have to do as a mom,
And that's warming, considering I know a lot of people can't see their loved ones right now during this time. And so is there a COVID message? I know you talk about how the shop's been sort of affected, but overall, is there a COVID message to the special needs, the adaptability community to say, yes, we can get through this? I mean, you're a shining example. You have the store. You're getting through this through your work. But how can people who may not have that avenue but want to get through it, how can they get through it? How can you inspire those today listening?
Do not give up. Sometimes our blessings may come in different forms. And even if you may have $1 and you see somebody that really needs it, you can split that dollar with that person. And God will surely bless you and open up doors for you. Always be nice. Protect yourself. Wear your mask. Do what the government is saying. Wear your mask. Do everything that's right. Don't give up. Keep the faith. Stand firm. And you love and you believe in your strength. You will get through this. We all will get through this. There are many types of help out there. You just have to find the right help. So just Hold on. Don't give up the faith. This too shall pass.
Amen to that. You mentioned how you were very isolated in the way you brought in your family, certain family members, to be with Cadence. Does that energy of protection lead to the store now? Like, or is the store more or less, not isolated, but, how have you turned that energy into caring for Cadence into caring for the store, I guess is my question.
It's differentiated. With Cadence now, the energy has to be protected. Reason why, she's very sensitive. But the store, I'm still protecting it because it does, signifies her as well. But I'm open. I'm open. I know how now to deal with things, to handle things, better than how I used to back then when I was younger. So, I'm much more firm now.
You mentioned you're open, and I wish everybody else was open in the city. I hope the lockdowns get eased up soon.
No, I'm open, but not really open to too much public. I have the stickers on the floor. I have sanitizer, everything. They enter the door, the store. But majority is they order online. I come in, I ship the stuff out to you.
That is hard work, and I'm sure it sounds like you're there almost every hour if you need to be.
Yeah, I'm here majority of the days, the week.
Being so immersed in this and being involved with someone who has special needs like Cadence and before her, your other experiences, the lockdowns are also hurting the disabled community. I think we can all agree. So what can government do better to help disabled people adapt? I feel like we don't talk about that enough.
That is so true. That is a good question, a good topic. Me personally, I think the government should put more work in the disability community. They should find a time to listen to what the disabled community have to say and what their needs and wants are, and make sure that they are all met. Because majority of them, they cannot work. They are either bedbound, they have some form of, disability form, that is stopping them from doing certain things like they would be doing.
Do you think we're told too much? You can't do it? Do you think we're told too much about that too?
Yes. They love, but they can.
I want to talk about the feeding tube because I do have friends, obviously, who have it. And that's an adaptation, especially if you haven't had it in your child years. So those who have to get used to a feeding tube, those who have to adapt to it, what's your message for them?
Wow. Listen, you could still live life. You can still live life. That does not define who you are. You can still enjoy the beauty of life. That's my message.
That's very special. God's played a role. Has the church played a role in helping you get through these days, these years? Even when Caden was alive, did the church help you at all as well?
To be honest with you, no. I would say, I was brought up in church, yes. And I wasn't getting the support that I needed from the church that I came to America and, attended as a young child. So it was mostly my belief and what I learned from a young age to how to pray. and my spiritual guide.
Where are you originally from, if you mind me asking?
I'm from Jamaica.
Do you think coming up here also was a blessing? Like, if you had Cadence down there, I don't know, would they have given them the same care that she's gotten up here or she got up here?
No, definitely not. That's where, the system there in Jamaica is, they are so behind time. They wouldn't have done a great job as to the U.S. right now in those type of situations.
Do you think we're looking silly fighting the healthcare fights we do every day? Like, it just seems like healthcare should be available. And these fights get crazier by the minute. I'm sure you're following that too.
Yes. Healthcare is a necessity for each and every person. That is something that everyone should have access to. Because we need to take care of our bodies. And they should do better. They really should. The government should really do better with that.
On both sides of the aisle, I think it becomes a debating point when people are literally dying. It's kind of sad, actually.
Yes, it is extremely sad.
So with this store, I've got to ask you, any stories that come to mind that have really lit you up, that inspire you to keep the store going? Any special stories about the store and the people that come in virtually even?
Yes. Pretty much the whole neighborhood is excited. Is excited that, we're here. And the colors of the store, actually, it brightens up the neighborhood. A lot of people, say, hey, when I pass here, the store is just bright. And, it's like a ray of sunshine. It's, the place is dull, but it just brightens up. It just makes you want to smile. So, yes.
Have you ever, I know you just opened up, but have you thought of expanding as the years go on and even past COVID?
Definitely, most definitely. We'll be expanding to every different form of disability out there in the world. We will be catering to from not only babies, but adults as well.
Well, please come on this, come back on and tell us about your journey, because I love your message. I love that you are so positive in the light of such a really tough loss. I could tell that you're still shining bright for her, and that's important to know too.
Yes. I mean, I do have my down days, but I don't let that stop me, because I know somewhere around the corner there is another blessing. And
I think you've helped us realize that here on Alex Garrett Podcasting. So I want to bring you back. It's not goodbye. It's we'll see you again down the road. Raquel Johnson Poole, is that correct?
Yes.
One more time, your number and website and even email, just so people can get a hold of you.
Yes. My number is 929-402-6087, and that is a direct contact to me. And our website is KMJlove.com. And we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, and we are on Instagram.
Well, we're going to follow you there. And thank you again so much for joining my podcast, Adapting with Alex Garrett, today.
Thank you so much for having me, Alex. I really appreciate it.
And we'll have you back soon enough. That was Raquel Johnson Poole, mother of the late Cadence, and she's carrying on her legacy through her store, KMJ Lovewear. I'm Alex Garrett, where we are always adapting.